The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to Dawn of Sports. We have kind of a post-mortem to do on the Vikings. We also open up the can to look forward to the other teams now. We're going to talk some Timberwolves, Wild, a little bit, touch on what's coming up next, and kind of, I know we do have to still talk about the Vikings, but we also have Tracy Perlman from WCCO on, who will brighten your story with some hot stove information about the Diamond Awards. And she's also on loan out to CBS LA, helping the TV station out there deal with all the coverage of the wildfires and what she's experienced. So we have all of that. We've got the good and the bad coming up.
That's right. This is Dawn of Sports. She's Dawn Mitchell from Fox 9. You know her well. We're so happy to have her here at TalkNorth.com. This is one of our many great shows at TalkNorth.com. Alex Haugen is our producer today. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We want to thank Rudy Luther Toyota, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Natrium, natrium.com. That's Natreum. A reminder, not only do we have Dawn, we have Randy Shaver, Mike Grimm, Jeff Diamond, John Millay, John Krasinski, Kevin Gorg, Michael Russo, Anthony LaPanta, the Bar Down Beauties, Roy Smalley, Lavelle Eniel III, outdoor content, and we are planning on growing this year and giving you some more options to listen to. If you like a show, please subscribe to it at your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. And one thing I want to highlight here is Dawn has had a tremendous number of great guests through the time she's been on the network. And if you like the show, go back through the archive at TalkNorth.com. You'll find Mike Tirico, Jim Cott, all kinds of great personalities from all over the sports world. And we do try to, when we can, highlight women's sports and bring on strong women guests. Dawn's been great about that. Now, Dawn, let's get to the topic you probably are not looking forward to talking to that much.
Oh, the post-mortem on the Vikings. You know, when I was going to the airport yesterday, I came back yesterday, and on Tuesday, or what? Yeah, Tuesday. Do you know what day it is, Jim, this week? I don't. With that Monday Night Football game?
Wednesday. I'm going to go with Wednesday.
Okay. Whatever day it was yesterday in my life, I said, I don't know how to. There's been years where you're just kind of relieved the season is over because it's a grind and you're exhausted. There's some seasons where you're just, the NFC Championship years, you're so really kind of bummed out that it ended the way it did, especially when there was Bounty Gate years ago. And I was kind of numb yesterday. That was the new feeling for me after all of these years covering the Vikings. Almost not stunned, like, wow, I'm shocked, but also not like relieved either. It was this no man's land of feeling as a professional that I wasn't quite sure happened. So I can only imagine how the players and management feel, maybe because all of the guys, every single one, are great guys on that team and they loved each other, just kind of seeing that bond and how it pulled them through. So I don't know. I'm still numb about what happened out in Arizona. How about you?
I guess not. I went into the Detroit game thinking that the because of the state of the Lions defense, because of all the injuries, because the way that the Vikings offense was performing and the matchup, I think the NFL is a matchup league. I really thought the Vikings had a chance to win that game, set themselves up for a bye week and 2 home games. And I could see them at that point being a serious contender for going to the Super Bowl. And then the way they performed in Detroit, and especially the way Sam Darnold just imploded honestly, I went to Arizona thinking, okay, they're not going to win this game. And if they did, they certainly wouldn't go to Philadelphia and win. So I just had, by the time that game rolled around, my expectations were very low, and the Vikings failed to meet my very low expectations.
Oh, I was thinking that that would be the slap in the face that they needed. Shake it off. Let's call that experience in the postseason for Sam Darnold, and that we would see the regroup like we saw after his 3 picks in Jacksonville. That's what I thought would happen. And that's the exact opposite of what did happen. And I don't know. When I always tell you that the worst locker room I've ever been in my entire career was that Bounty Gate locker room, in New Orleans, after a half hour of not letting us in to talk to them. Usually it's 10, 15 minutes, sometimes 20, it's going to be a little longer with a big loss, but it was at least a half hour, Jim. And we walked in there and they're all still in their uniforms, all sitting at their lockers, all, for lack of a better term, snot crying, like heave crying. Like you felt like, are we sure the locker room is open? That's how it was. That's not what we experienced going into the locker room down in Arizona, but it was a different kind of crying from the guys. And I don't know. I think that's probably what fed him for me. And then talking to Josh Metellus, and then especially so Harrison Smith. I think that's where the true disappointment from the team kind of came across to me. Because they know how they lost in Arizona. That's what I'm saying. These guys know. They know what happened. They know how the game went. And if you have a chance to listen, Harrison Smith talking about his teammates, I put it on Twitter. And also, I think it's on all of my social medias, how he spoke about the guys on the team just this past year. So here's this veteran who has been playing for a while, and how he spoke about this year's team. It's heartbreaking. And he's a stoic guy. If Harrison doesn't want to talk about something, that, Jim, he'd be like, nah, I'm not going to change the subject, but for him to talk about his teammates and Brian Flores, that's where, it's more than the game at that point, I think. I don't know how you feel about that.
I guess I honestly, this is a good place for us to discuss this topic, because I really think, the nature of our jobs and the nature of our personalities, I really think we come at these things from different places. That's probably a good thing. It's a more
Yeah.
interesting conversation. And part of your job is getting people on camera saying what they really think, expressing emotion, telling you what's going on, telling you how they feel about it. And, my role as a columnist, I was one of 5 writers from the Star Tribune in down there. We had 5 writers and 2 photographers and a videographer down there. And
Wow.
my job, is when we have a lot of people are like, Andrew Kramer and Emily Laker and Mark Craig and Ben Gessling, they're all going around asking these questions and getting a sense of the emotions in the locker room. And it's kind of my job at my paper to be the person who stands back and says, okay, whatever going on in there, I'm going to write about this analytically and what I think of it and how I respond to it. And I spend more time listening to O'Connell and Darnold and the quarterback in the interview room, because that's where you can kind of get more into a breakdown situation. So,
Right.
it's like I said, I think it's a good thing. You do your job very well. I try to do my job in my niche that I have in my newspaper. So I just think when I go into a locker room, I'm looking for a couple certain answers. I'm probably not going to get them, and I'm going to just try to find somebody who will kind of break down what happened on a certain play for me, and then I go listen to O'Connell, and so the emotions of it just don't hit me, and it's probably because I'm old. I've been doing it for a long time. I look more like as soon as we got to halftime of that game, I'm thinking, okay, well, they might not be able to keep many of these guys in the secondary. They need to fix the interior of the offensive line. They have these decisions to make in free agency. I'm just so analytical about it. I don't even have these conversations. I'm glad you do, though.
Yeah. Well, for us, we're supposed to peel back the curtain for
Right.
the fans and the viewers, right, as to what's going on. And so we also talk about the game. For me, the facts about the game are the facts. So
Yeah.
I can talk about that. And when I talk about the emotions of it, it's not my emotions.
No, no,
It's
no.
theirs.
Yeah.
So I go in there thinking, wow, well, I know this team is close, but just to be like, okay, like this is their lives, and a guy that's been played, and this is just about Harry, played for so long, that I think sometimes when guys get to that age, they're removed a little bit, sometimes they're even checked out maybe. And to see a guy that's like basically played unbelievable amounts of football, has seen it all, to be that emotionally attached, I thought was really cool. So, and just to see the other guys and be like, like, we're not going to see this team. And we've heard that, Jim, over the years. Okay, it's going to be a different team. And we know that. I mean, we know the locker room is different. The feel is different. I don't think I've seen emotions in a locker room after a loss like that it wasn't like we're in the NFC Championship game and we just got our heads ripped off and we're bruised and we're battered and we're not going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I just thought the whole thing was interesting. So for me as a journalist, I was like, yeah, they did not play well enough to win. And I can tell you X, Y, and Z why. And then this is, the emotions of all the guys. And no, they didn't ride their way to friendship and win. It's not like all about rainbows and unicorns, but there was something special about this locker room that died with that loss, because it's not going to be the exact same. So, and I know Vikings fans are like, oh, okay, it's another year. There's all those, Minnesota sports fans memes going around, another thud in the postseason. But, if you look at it on paper, a 14-win season, and they get bounced in the first round. Jonathan Grenard, he was the best about that. He goes, listen, yeah, it's sad, and I'm really disappointed to miss some of these guys. It's never going to be the same. But if you look at it objectively, we're a 14-win team that got bounced in the first round, and that's about it. Like he says it like it is, which I really appreciate about him. So I don't know how Vikings fans should feel about it, because they weren't supposed to be a 14-win team. Does that make sense? Like, that's how I am. I'm like, well, this was an overachieving bunch, or was it? So I also said, could you have enjoyed the ride? But Vikings fans don't want to hear that. Like, enjoy the ride of, we all had fun watching this team this year, didn't we? We certainly did. And like, wow. And they were playing great at a certain point. And then they just kind of ran into that. We had a graphic in one of our shows, the Lions hangover. They ran into the buzzkill of the Lions and then got chopped up by the Rams again. And that's exactly what happened at the end of the season. So that's kind of a disappointing end to the year, a thud for sure.
It is. And I think you hit on it. I picked this team to win, like, I don't know, I can't remember now, 6 or 7 games. A lot of people who I respect and who are, pretty rational picked them to win between 6 and 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was going to be a bad team. They end up winning 14 games, and they end up getting, and Sam Darnold had never played well for more than a month at a time in his career. They got 4 great months out of him before everything collapsed. I viewed this overall as a great success,
Yes.
and it ended badly. But
Mm-hmm.
I still can't believe they got to the point where they were a 14-win team playing for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. To me, it was a great success. It was a stunning success. It was a coaching triumph. And now, as soon as you turn that page, as soon as you say, okay, now what do they have? It's even clearer to me this was an incredible overachievement, because now you look at them and you stop thinking about week by week, what do they do to win this game, and just look at the roster. You go, man, they have a lot of people they are not bringing back. They have a lot of people. They have a lot of positions they need to strengthen, and they are again trying to figure out the quarterback position. It tells you how impressive it was they won 14 games with this group.
Yeah, I think I read something. I'm trying to look at the stat right now, but 45% of their snaps are from guys that won't be here next year, or at least unrestricted free agents.
Probably
I
won't be.
mean,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
it probably won't be.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And It's interesting to note on the offensive side of the ball, going back to the locker room, they're more frustrated. Justin Jefferson was very pragmatic talking to him. Someone said, well, what if Sam Darnold isn't back next year? He goes, I dealt with a new quarterback this year. He's very pragmatic. I think they're just frustrated and they just want it fixed. They know that they didn't play well. They didn't do X, Y, and Z. So that was interesting. And defense, we all thought the defense last year, like coming into this year, like, yeah, how's it going to go? Like their defense last year was so disappointing and they bring in all these new people. So it was a seesaw again at the end of the year, but they've got a lot of things. A lot of guys are potentially not going to be there, like Byron Murphy Jr., as he said, he played his butt off this year and, he's going to go for the money as he should. Like, I don't begrudge these guys anything, but all these free agents that are coming up, it's going to be an interesting offseason. And then what do you do with Daniel Jones? People are still floating that whole idea out there that you get Aaron Rodgers.
No.
No, I was like, don't have that resurface again, please.
It's not going to happen. So we don't need to talk about it. We don't need to pretend that's a thing. It's not going to happen.
It's like, come on, give it a rest. But, like you said, there's just so many things that are uncertain, but you don't want a frustrated Justin Jefferson. And
no, but I think, see, to me, again, by halftime of that game, you're like, okay, this is over. Yep. I'm looking ahead, and I actually viewed it as usual. I use it completely the opposite of the Vikings fans. My view is, if you're going to lose where you have clarity. They know they're going to move on from Sam Darnold. They know they're going to be able to keep Brian Flores, and they know what needs to be fixed. They also know that J.J. McCarthy's their future, and so as many individual decisions they have to make about this team. And I think they definitely want Murphy back. He's probably their best defensive back, and he's young. He's still athletic. He's the guy they need back. But for all the different decisions they have to make, for all the roster overhaul we're going to see, the big picture questions we now know they're going to turn J.J. McCarthy into their franchise quarterback, which is the right decision. They're going to find a quarterback who can be next year's Darnold, who can be the bridge quarterback. And they're going to try to keep their best players. They're going to try to fix their worst positions. And they're going to keep Brian Flores, which gives them hope of having a good defense again next year with their best players back.
Here's my question. Who do you get as the bridge quarterback? Do you try to keep a Sam Darnold?
No,
I don't. Or who do you go to? Who's your pick for a bridge quarterback?
Honestly, Daniel Jones. He's been in the system for a few months now. He has talent. He's won an NFL playoff game. And if Sam Darnold was ruined by the New York Jets, well, how do we look at Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones was good enough to win a road playoff game, and then that entire organization collapsed around him. They took away Saquon Barkley. They coached him badly until they got Neighbors this year. They didn't give him any receiving help. They kind of crushed his spirit, which is, again, what we saw with Darnold and other quarterbacks in other places. I think Daniel Jones would be an ideal candidate to be a bridge quarterback who might end up turning into a nice alternative quarterback or a nice backup quarterback. Eventually what he wants to do is go start someplace else, of course.
Exactly.
But I think Kevin O'Connell could do real wonders with Daniel Jones.
So how do you term next year? Let's not say constructive rebuild. I think they're the next step up, right? You just really have to find that your quarterback of the future. You need to bolster your O-line. You need to try to stabilize and keep as many of the young guys on defense as you can, because they're performing well. So how would you, I know people are really love the coining of the phrase. And since you're the writer, what would you term next year's team? Or do you want to see how it shakes down a free agency and what goes on?
I think there's no way you come off a 14-win season and say we're rebuilding. So exactly. I think it would be reasonable to expect fewer than 14 wins and expect it to be more of a normal up and down season. But I think the goal going into next year has to be compete in a very tough division, make it at the playoffs, and hope by the end of the year, J.J. McCarthy's playing well and you're peaking, because that didn't happen this year.
Absolutely. Are we concerned about the kicking? I know we've been saying this for the past couple of games. I'm not. I love this young kid, Will Riker. I'm not sure that he's 100% healthy, so I'm just hoping that he heals up in the offseason because he's fantastic when he's 100%.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. He's a great kicker. He was great in college. He's been great in pressure situations. He was great until he got hurt this year. I just give him the benefit of the doubt and bring him back and hope he's healthy. So I think the talent and the mindset are there.
So overall, what do you grade this year?
A plus.
A
A
plus.
plus. They're supposed to be they were set up to be terrible, and they won 14 games and came within one game of having the number one seed. This is a dramatic overachievement.
Amen. You know, it's so funny when you get report cards. I don't even know how they are anymore. But I would give them an A plus. But I also look at the effort, right? And you can't get any better than an A plus for effort. But because my mom would always be like, I don't care if you get an A. If your effort is a C, we're having words. You know, one of those things. You've seen teams like that, right? They have a great whatever, but it's like, they lucked out. Or like maybe when we talk about, KO's first 13 win season where they lucked out, they won some of the games at the end that they shouldn't. They had a lot of issues even in that season, but I'm with you. I'm like, can people just, once the sting of how the game went down, I think if they lost very competitively on Monday night, Vikings fans would have a whole different feel right now. Like, if we lost by 2, they'd be frustrated. They'd be sad. But the way it went down, I think is what leaves the bad taste in the mouth. But I think someone asked me like, well, what about the effort? I go, well, this last game, notwithstanding, yeah, it was a bad game. I give an A plus for effort too. I give an A plus for people like, no, the year sucked or something like that. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. Let's take the emotions out of it a little bit. Back up the bus.
Effort. They didn't lack effort. They played hard. They just didn't play well enough. And they didn't match up well
enough, bottom line.
And honestly, so much of it comes down, this is a quarterback, this entire franchise, the way O'Connell coaches, the way the offense is run, it's a big play passing offense. And when your quarterback goes south, everything collapses.
And the other elephant in the room that we talk about, LA had more to play for as well and it doesn't always translate on the field, but when you have that emotional backing of what's going on in LA, we were saying this too, like here's LA planning to have a home game, now having to, get on planes, some of them bringing their pets, some people in the organization. Now I know that, they were talking about how coach went on and said none of our players have lost homes, but I did hear from someone from the Vikings that some people from the organization, for the Rams organization, did lose homes. Yep. Some with a couple of mansions and some with, what is termed quote unquote regular homes. I don't really know what would branch that in California. However, they had a lot going on, and, a team can either succumb to that or rise to the occasion. Somebody even said this, and it was this person from Arizona. Remember when the Arizona Diamondbacks won the World Series, right? Yep. But everyone wanted, was it New York they were playing?
No, that was when they beat the Yankees,
yes.
Mariano Rivera in 2001.
But something was going on back in New York. God, I'm trying to remember which, but they're like, oh yeah, when the Arizona Diamondbacks won, no one wanted them to win because there wasn't a tragedy going on. And I said, what? That's how you guys think? And they go, that's how people think. So they're like, yeah, we didn't have the groundswell of support. And we kind of felt like the bad guys. Did the Vikings feel like the bad guys? And I'm like, I do not think the Vikings are going into this game feeling like the bad guys. These are people on the ground in Arizona. But you have to say something for a team knowing that they're playing for also something more than themselves. Like Boston Strong, when they went through the bombing at the marathon, the wildfires. So, Sean McVay and that team had those emotions. They didn't let it get to them, and they were playing for something more. And I kind of tip my hat to them. And also, you got to give a special nod to Arizona Cardinals owner, Michael Bidwell, who really went all out to help that club. He even said at one point, Jim, if the people from this organization, from the Rams, when they go back, they don't have a place to go to and they don't have any, they're more than welcome to stay here. Like, we will put them up in our accommodations until it's safe for them or time for them to go home. So in this day and age where we're hearing about greedy owners and terrible owners and this and that, the way that he handled this situation, I tip my cap to him.
Yeah, I thought that was probably the best aspect of the whole experience is the way the Cardinals and the NFL responded and made this happen. It was absolutely the right decision to move that game from LA. And it was great. You and I were both there. They handled everything beautifully.
Oh, yeah. I thanked some of the workers, too, because, they're like, yeah, well, we're about to go on our vacations. A good thing I wasn't leaving this week. When you're in Arizona, do you really need a vacation from the weather? But I know what they're saying.
No, you don't.
Yeah. So I said, well, thank you.
They vacation in a place cold, so they appreciate the other 51 weeks of the year.
That's right. But coming up, we will be talking to Tracy Perlman, who is out there. She works for WCCO. We'll be talking a little bit about we're going to switch gears to Twins a little bit, the Diamond Awards. And I think that just last year was the first year they decided to revamp those Diamond Awards and kind of have someone in charge of putting that whole event together. But she is out in LA. They kind of traded or took some people here from the Twin Cities to help the coverage out there. And I think we should get a reality check of what's going on out there as well.
Yes.
As I like to say, focus on strong women that are doing good things. And gosh, you don't leave your comfy home, even though it's cold here in Minnesota, to go help people that are, fighting for their lives, literally. So that'll be an interesting conversation.
Yes, I'm glad you lined up Tracy for this week. Let's get to Tracy here in a second. First, let's take care of the business of the business. We want to thank longtime sponsor, longtime supporter of women's sports, Rudy Luther Toyota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
I want to thank another company that does great work in Minnesota, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
My latest message about Natrium, Natrium.com, the Natrium and Wildflower shops in Minnesota is that, I've told you that I've used their stuff for sleep aids. I told you that occasionally my wife and I will try one of the gummies or the candies just for that little bit of taking the edge off when you're sitting around watching TV at night. I've told you that I've used their balms. I've got a sore finger. I've got some sore body parts, and their balms.
It's holding you together.
Absolutely holding together. So I've told you about these things separately. I now will just tell you that I've basically used all their stuff for all these reasons, sometimes all in the same day. And the cool thing is they have so many different products with different ingredients and different dosages that I can do that because I can use the low dosage balm and I can use the low dosage sleep aid. I can use the low dosage fun, gummy or candy because, listen, I know some people, I have friends who take the high dosage stuff and it's, that's how, if they're going to have a fun time at night or watching TV or at a party or something, they will go ahead and take something that's pretty strong and it'll hit them pretty hard and they'll have a lot of fun. That's really not my vibe. My vibe is just using stuff for the side benefit. And the great thing is you can go either way, because if you go to a wildflower or Natrium shop, they can help you find the right dosage, the right product, the right delivery, whether it's a drink or a balm or an oil or a gummy or a candy, and they can help find exactly what works for you. So I highly recommend at least once going to a Natrium or a Wildflower shop, having them help you find exactly what you like, what tastes good to you, what's going to work in your life. And then you either keep going back to the Natrium and Wildflower shops. You can go to natrium.com. Anything you use, I recommend, because I've used pretty much all of it and it's all worked for me. Natrium, Natreum.com.
Joining us now, Tracy Perlman, executive producer of news and sports over at WCCO. Not only are we going to talk Diamond Awards and kind of hit the refresh button, a little hot stove baseball talk, but we have to talk about something serious right now, because Tracy was basically taken over by CBS in LA to go out there and help with their coverages for the fires, which I can't even imagine being called into action literally for that. So Tracy, I know you're still in LA now. Excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, well, thank you guys. Yeah, a week ago, the fires started a week ago Tuesday. And right away, CBS decided to mobilize. And they said this is going to be a lot of resources and a lot on the staff out here. And so they rallied. There's 35 of us from across the country at different owned and operated stations: Boston, Baltimore, Denver, Chicago, San Francisco, Sacramento. And we're all out here helping and doing what we can to provide some reprieve to the staff that works here, the reporters, producers, directors, photographers, but then also help fill the information need. This is a big area that's that's been affected. And so there's a lot of information that we need to get out, and we're doing what we do, which is provide information and try to make people smarter and have information that they need, and then also keep them safe.
I have so many questions for you when it comes to this. So on the professional side, I know that you've covered other things that are tragic and so difficult to even comprehend. To know that you're going into, a different neighborhood, a different state, but TV is the same. Has anything struck you this week since you've been out there where you're like, wow, okay, deep breath. And this is hard, and I have to do it for the people I'm working next to, because they may be losing their homes. They may be losing their pets or their families or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. The first few days I was here, the desk I sat at in the newsroom at KCBS and KCAL was one of the nightside executive producers who had been evacuated. Her home is still standing. It's full of soot and ash and smoke. Her family's staying at the same hotel they put all of us out of towners in, just because they can't go home because it's not, that's just too toxic. So everybody here knows somebody who's been affected, and they're working long, hard days. And then you go home and you don't escape it. The thing that, I come to LA a lot. I have a lot of friends here. I feel comfortable jumping into different situations. But the thing I keep telling people, it's like going to a Target out of town. When you walk in, it's going to be familiar, but maybe the shoes are in a different area, or the toiletries and the pharmacy's in a different spot. So it's different but familiar. And at the end of the day, I know how to gather information and get it out. I know how to write a script. I know how to pick a soundbite and cut that video. What I don't know are some of these neighborhoods and some of the public leaders that are putting out information. So that's where it's been a little tough, but everybody here has been so grateful and gracious and so helpful. I've really made myself at home over the last week out here, and they're flying us home today. We've got some fresh people coming in to take over and help out. It's going to be a really long road to recovery. The coverage has reminded me a lot of when we were covering the George Floyd unrest in the Twin Cities, where you just don't know what each day is going to bring, but you're going to do your best that you can. And among the signs of devastation and the heartache, there's a lot of signs of hope and community and positivity. And that's the stuff I've been really clinging to.
You see images all day long of destruction and fire and people losing things and sadness. And I think at one point I had a friend that was out there on business as well. And I'm getting pictures from all of my friends out there, like the view out their window, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's not affecting them, it's still affecting them because they're witnessing it. They're seeing it. It's so vast. How do you step away from that every night? And how do the people in that newsroom out there step away from it?
Yeah.
Or don't
For a
you?
lot of people that don't live right in, whether it's where the Palisades fire was or the Eaton fire, they're able to go home and decompress with their families. If you're not directly in a fire evacuation zone, it's very much life as normal, which is the very weird kind of paradox or paradigm of what's happening out here. I went and took myself out for dinner in West Hollywood one night. The air's clear, the sky, the sun is shining, and I'm like, well, how's the air quality? Can I wear a mask? Because I just got done telling people all day that the air quality is bad, but no one's walking around with a mask on, and people are eating outside and it's 60, 70 degrees. And it was very much life as normal. So that has been one way I've decompressed. I've been walking around a lot. We're working on the CBS lot. So my lunch breaks have been kind of meandering around the studio lot. I walked down to the Big Brother house. Seinfeld was shot on this lot. The Newhart was shot on this lot. So I kind of walk by and peek at some of those signs and listen to some music. But then you go home at night and it's mentally exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just been watching TV and reading a lot and just kind of hanging out in my hotel room, which is a nice change of pace, sometimes.
Yeah, you don't have that luxury when you're home, do you?
No, I did have to call a friend to go to their house and do laundry. I didn't know when they sent me out here last week how long we were going to be out here. Was it just going to be 3 days? And then they were like, hey, let's have you stay a week. And so I have to go buy a sweatshirt. I needed to, wash my socks, and I needed to change my shirts. And so just some very like first world problems that we were all kind of laughing about, because I'm like, hey, I'm here again in my green t-shirt. Good to see you guys.
When you just mentioned something that kind of hit a chord with me. So during the George Floyd riots, where I live is not, well, in Minneapolis, everything is close by. And we're at the TV station, and it's all hands on deck, and you're seeing what your news reporters are going through, and so it was the fires. It's the first night where it was all of everything was burning, and it's just so emotional, and it's so scary. And I'm thinking, I'm going to walk down to go around the lake, and and if it's bad, I'm going to see where I can help. And I'm telling you, I walked around the lake, and one of the big houses had their grounds crew out there mowing the lawn. Like nothing was different. Yeah. And I stopped, and I remember I was in tears because I said, this is like unaffected. And we're 3 miles tops away from what is going on. And it just the juxtaposition of what was going on, how one was life is normal and one was life is over, literally. It really made me emotional. And then I get a phone call from, like a car dealership saying, hey, we just want to see how things are going with you today. And I'm like, do you not know what's going on in the city? Like this poor person that called me got that end of me. It's weird too. And then the next days, then you find your way. But that first moment where it hits, where you're expecting this and you're feeling for all of these stories that are coming out of this tragedy, and then you have just that stark difference. It's unsettling, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so surreal. When we flew in Thursday morning, the skyline was so hazy. You really couldn't see the ground. There was smoke. It wasn't, we flew in during the day, so I didn't see any flames, but the smoke was definitely there. The air quality was bad. I had a headache instantly, and we went right into the newsroom, and so you're kind of thrust into the middle of all of it. And then the next day, the wind shifted and the sky was clear where we were. But there's still fires. There's still hot spots. The crew is still coming back, smelling of soot and ashes. And it was really weird. We went to a restaurant, in between the station and the hotel, and they had a little collection site in the front door. But again, it's, there's a cute little grocery store next door, and people are grabbing their kids and they're getting treats and they're doing their thing. And so you kind of forget. And then we went into the weekend, and that weekend we saw so many signs of community, a huge outpouring of support. And that's kind of what I think tied this community together. Unlike a lot of other big cities, Los Angeles is really a bunch of suburbs all kind of smashed together. And so if you're in Studio City, you're probably not going to Santa Monica a lot. They're not going to the beach a lot, or you're not going to West Hollywood or downtown LA, or even further out into like the IE, the Inland Empire, which is my new favorite area that I've heard of. And so, you're not going there. And so if it doesn't affect your neighborhood, it doesn't affect your neighborhood. But at the same time, there's such a pride of being an Angelino and being from here and knowing somebody who's lived there and is going through it. So there was this huge outpouring of support, and to the point where a lot of nonprofits that we were talking with said, please stop dropping off stuff. We can't organize it. We have too much. We don't have the space, but we need your money. And so that's been an amazing thing to see, whether it's been coming from people here in California or across the country. It's really amazing. I think yesterday I saw some estimates that said like $275 billion worth of damage, making this the second worst disaster in U.S. history. And that's an early estimate. There's still hotspots, there's still fires, there's still a strong warning today until I think 3:00. So there could be more hotspots and more fires popping up. This thing could get worse, and it will as they continue to do damage estimates. So it's going to be a really long time and a really long road to recovery.
Well, before we starkly switch gears, I do want to send out my thank yous to crews like yourself that in the station getting the information out, to the reporters that are going out there. They don't know what they're braving, to, of course, the first responders. The firemen are just heroes. Just the stories that you see coming out there, the emergency people, the personnel, everyone on the ground. It's amazing to you see it time and time again. Who are the people running in when most people are running out? And those are the heroes.
Yep.
So I just want to say thanks to all of you out there that are doing that.
Yeah, there have been incredible signs of bravery and heroism and humanity. And working in news, we all listened, like we're listening to a podcast right now. We listen to podcasts, we search social media, we read the paper. There can be a lot of divisiveness. And right now, to see kind of the best of humanity is amazing. And, it's a feeling I hope we can keep and cling on to for a while, because it's going to be a while out here for sure. And I'm really proud of all the work that my colleagues are doing, whether they're CBS, Fox, ABC, NBC, and beyond. People are doing a really great job of reminding everyone that these are human stories and these affect people. Everyone can understand what it would be like to lose their home. It's not just a place of possessions, and pictures and paperwork, but it's the place that you go to relax and unwind. It's a safe place. And there's so many wonderful memories tied to homes that's really where it hits me. To help kind of pivot us out of this, the way that sports teams and companies are coming together and really leading the way has been incredible. And so I think, at times when we see really hard times come, you need those forms of entertainment, whether it's, a TV show or like we were saying, a podcast or a sports team. We rely on them to help get our mind off of things. And they're also stepping up for their fans who have been there for them. So it's really incredible to see that as well.
Yes, and I love also seeing the stories of the dogs that are emerging from the rubble and
Yes.
the signs of hope and love. So I hope we see more of those coming in the
Yes,
next
I
few
wanted
days.
to just add some levity. Yesterday, David Schumann, who's a WCCO reporter, has been out here. He went to the Pasadena Humane, and they said, we actually don't need fosters. We're holding a lot of these pets. We're fostering them for families who had to evacuate and can't take their pets with them for whatever reason. And so I was like, David, just come back with another dog for me, and I'll name him Malibu, or her Malibu, and I'm just going to call her Boo, and she's going to be my fire dog. But they had no pets to give out because they're holding on to them for families. So
Oh,
it's incredible. Yeah, I
oh,
was going to
see,
add
thank
one to my
you.
home. Yeah.
I'm patting my heart right now. Like, oh,
Hmm.
that's something you wouldn't think of, but people will definitely
Yeah.
need pets.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Talk about the pivot, the hard change. You have so many things going on where you're dealing with life and death, literally, but at the same time, while you're out there, you're working on the upcoming Diamond Awards. And some people, they might say, "Oh, why?" But we need to talk about something different, And also, Vikings fans need to look forward to something.
Yes.
We're looking towards the Timberwolves and the Wild, yes, but also, there's some rite of passage when spring training for the Twins is around the corner, but also the Diamond Awards kind of set that out. Can you tell us what your role is on the Diamond Awards? And I know that they changed last year, so it was more fun and you kind of
Yeah.
changed things up. So what can we look forward to in that?
Yeah. So the Diamond Awards, this is the 20th annual Diamond Awards. And it is the Minnesota Twins kind of celebration of the last season in partnership with the University of Minnesota. So it ties back to the Twins and as well as a lot of neurodevelopment, excuse me, a lot of neuro diseases that the University of Minnesota is able to work on. And it's something that's really important to me. I had a very close friend of mine. His name is Mike Winston. Was diagnosed with ALS at the age of 24, and he passed away at 29, which is really young for anyone to pass away, and especially from ALS. But one of the things that I'm most proud of is to be able to continue to share his story and to be able to contribute to research and development because that was something he was very passionate about. And as you know, Dawn, I am also a huge Twins fan and
Yes.
passionate about baseball. So being able to put both of my kind of like loves and passions into one event has been really rewarding for me. And yeah, the Diamond Awards, it's not your normal awards banquet. I'll say that. If you love baseball, you got to come out and come see this event. It's at the Armory, downtown Minneapolis. We moved it there last year, and it's a fun, big, beautiful event. The baseball players that are there, who won some of the awards, and we can go through that, are there. So you get to meet the players. You get to have that little touch of like spring and summer, and it's like around the corner, some hope. And then we celebrate, the players and the season that was and the season that will be, along with the developments that the U of M is making in 5 different neuro diseases. And it's ALS, which a lot of people know as Lou Gehrig's disease. He was, of course, a Yankee great. Ataxia, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's. And so it's one of those things that I'm so proud of the work that they've done. We've raised over $6 million over the last 20 years. And it just keeps getting bigger and growing. And the research that the U of M is able to do and the treatments and the developments are incredible. And it's something we should all be so proud of as Minnesotans, that this work is happening in our backyard and making a true difference in people's lives, countless people's lives, really.
Mm. For the people that want to buy tickets and go, do you have a few names that you could drop that they're going to be able to see that night?
Oh, why, yes, I can. Perhaps you've heard of
Dropping some
somebody
names?
named Carlos Correa. Perhaps we've heard of him.
Yes.
This should come as no surprise to anybody. He won the Bob Allison Award, and that goes to the Twins player who exemplifies determination, hustle, tenacity, and competitive spirit and leadership. And really, is there anybody else on the Twins who fits that description? This is his third year winning this award in a row. So
Wow.
that just tells you, he came in and the immediate impact he has had on and off the field. He will be there. Last year, he had a blast. It was so fun. I had some friends that were there and they were like, oh, I got to meet Carlos Correa and I got to take a picture with him. And he was so nice. So, yeah, so he will be there. Royce Lewis won the
Nice.
Outstanding Community Service Award. So the thing that I love about Royce is obviously he's an amazing player, and we know how much and how important he has been to this team in the infield. But then to also celebrate the work that he's doing in the community and how much he's embracing it. Last year at the Diamond Awards, it was his first time. He was so blown away by what was happening and how generous people were. He leaned over to his fiance and said, should should we do a match? And they were like, okay.
Wow.
And he went up on the stage and said, I'm going to donate tickets, a jersey, I can't remember what else, but autographs, all this stuff. And they were like, okay, we're going to auction it off. And he just up and did it out of the goodness of his heart because of how much he believed in what was happening. So that's really cool.
Wow.
Cole Sands will be there. He was a right-handed pitcher. He was on the opening day roster last year and then spent the whole season in the bullpen. He was named the most improved Twin. And I remember last year, I think it was Ryan Jeffers who won it. And we were laughing because he's like, it's cool to win an award, but was it like because you weren't great or like, hey, they saw a lot of improvement? Like, that's a weird one to take, but
You
I think it's
used
cool
to
and we all
be not as good
right.
as you are
Like
now.
yeah, but like you really did. And I was like, no, it's like you don't always see the progress, right? Because you're in the middle of
So
it. But to
exactly.
know that like we're seeing improvements in the bullpen, like I'm gonna take that as a win.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. Carlos Santana will be there. He won the Jim Cott Award for Defensive Player of the Year. And so that's always really exciting. Griffin Jacks is also gonna be there. He was the Twins Pitcher of the Year. And then like how much do we love Willie Castro? And
Oh my
how
goodness. All of
I
these
mean,
names.
I know it's so fun. And so Willie won the Most Valuable Twin award, which I think is super cool. Um, and he's also the first player in the American League and National League to play in at least 25 games in 5 different positions. So like
Wow.
definition of a utility player. 2 other names that are going to be there, or 3 other names. Ryan Jeffers, again, won the Media Good Guy, which we all know win or lose, he's going to
Right.
be there. He's going to help us out. And then they also do Upper Midwest Player of the Year. And this is cool because we get to recognize somebody who's from, either Minnesota, the Fargos, Iowa, who's making an impact on the game. And it's Matt Strom, who is from North Dakota. I believe he plays for the Phillies. He's a relief pitcher. Um, we're also going to have Torrey Hunter in house, who's always a party.
Oh,
He's winning the Kirby Puckett Award for Twins alumni and community service. And so
amazing.
again, it's just so important, for these guys. They know how much the community loves them. And then of course, we cannot forget the big Pumbaa of them all is Ron Gardenhire, who is winning the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh,
And
I love
how much do
Cardi.
we love Gardy. 13 years he was with the Twins. He is such an important person to this team and to this community. And so to be able to celebrate him is really, really fun. And he's going to get up there and give a phenomenal speech. And it's going to have us all laughing. So
I'm already
those
laughing.
are I mean, he's the best. And so like I said, it's super fun. These guys are all there. Since I'm on the host committee, I will tell you that we have really, really good food, which is important when you go to an event. We are celebrating Minnesota. We are celebrating baseball. Our dessert, which I'm super excited about, churros in cute little baseball helmets like you get at ice cream at baseball games. So it's not a stuffy event. This is, you'll dress up and you'll get to meet the players, but like, it's a really fun event that makes you feel really good about the community and the team. And again, the work that the U of M is doing to support families with all these neuro diseases.
Well, Tracy, thank you. So for the people listening, where can they get tickets and when is it again? I know it's at the Armory, just a reminder for everyone.
Yes. So it's at the Armory. It is Thursday, January 23rd. And it butts right up to Twins Fest. So this kind of is the Thursday night of Twins Fest. Friday and Saturday, the Twins have event leading up to, they've got their Twins Live event at the Fillmore. They have the meet and greets and autograph signings at the ballpark. So this is all part of Twins Fest weekend to really get everybody excited for spring training. So Thursday, January 23rd at the Armory. For more info, you can go to diamondawards.umn.edu, or I'll make it even easier for you. Bid 612. So just bid 612, the area code.com will take you to the website. You can bid on stuff if you're not going to come to the event or you're not able to make it. We've got really cool experiences, sports memorabilia from all different teams, tickets to concerts, restaurant gift certificates. I was able to get a VIP experience at The Price is Right. So you come out to LA, you get to go see Drew Carey on the show, you get to sit in the audience, you get the fun name tag. So we've got some really cool stuff happening there as well. And it'll be a fun, like I said, 20th anniversary, really just celebration of baseball and research at the U of M.
Well, Tracy Perlman, I adore you. Your work is outstanding. The harshness that you're dealing with out in LA and coming back to maybe the freshness, shall we call it, of the Diamond Awards is going to be something that you need, but I also know it's hard work. But I really appreciate you taking time today to talk to us and give us a little bit of levity about everything in Los Angeles and also the goodness that's going out there and something to look forward to in terms of baseball coming up. And before you leave, you got to give a hug to Jamie Yukis for me and Marina Jerka for me. Give them a
Yes, I
squeeze.
will. They have been, they are amazing ambassadors and Minnesota friends, the Minnesota Mafia, they keep calling us.
The Minnesota Mafia.
One of the producers out here is from out here. His wife is from Excelsior, and she made us hot dish so we could have that for the Monday night football game, which I will not be speaking of. And it was very weird to be in the newsroom here playing the Rams with the Vikings. So that was a fun experience leading up to the game. The game itself was not a fun experience. But
no, we're just going to leave that.
We're just going to leave it at that. But
2024.
thank you so much for having me on and being able to share the work that the U of M is doing and to share this exciting event that the Minnesota Twins have coming up. And we hope a lot of your listeners will be able to join us.
Yes. Thank you so much, Tracy. I really appreciate your time and safe travels back here to Minnesota.
Thank you so much.